Hello, my people who join me every day at 4 o'clock. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was perusing your stories and I was caught up. I just love seeing your families. I love some of the stuff that you share in your microblog, I'll call it that goes along with your pictures. And so then I was sharing some of it, the ones I could. Some of your accounts are private and I can't share, but oh my goodness, you share such good things. So my heart was really touched and I just got caught up in it for the last 5 minutes at least, because I was waiting for 4 o'clock and then all of a sudden it was past 4 o'clock. Today I'm going to talk about, what was I going to talk about? Oh, education. Yeah, I was the mother's education or the mother's work or the parents, whoever is a primary caretaker in your home and is at home with kids and, during the day, which we all are right now, or almost everybody is. Thank you, essential workers. So I wanted to talk about that, but before we get there, we'll let some people join and I will tell you what we are up to today. I feel like I look a little messy. I've been studying pharmacology, so I'll bring that up later. Also, the girls have been working hard. They were doing schoolwork and then they mowed the lawn for the first time, and now they are all going horse riding. So nobody wanted to join me. It was too beautiful a day and they just said, no, we're gonna ride a horse, Mom. Okay. And I've had a pork roast, like a picnic pork shoulder roast, huge thing in the roaster, cooking all day. I put it in early this morning and set it at 250. I had an old half a gallon of apple cider in the refrigerator. I poured that over it. And then I covered it all with black pepper and rosemary. So the rosemary has been infusing the house all day and it smells amazing. It smells so amazing. And let's see what else. I think I covered all the basics. There are probably a lot of nitty gritty details in there that I'm not remembering. I came up with an idea that I was throwing by Bridget, because if I don't send her my ideas, they pass through and then I forget about it until 3 months later and wait, weren't we gonna do something? My idea was this, that because I was thinking about the workbook yesterday that goes along with this book that is being formatted currently and eventually will be published. My thought was that I could gather a group of you and send the rough draft of the workbook, and we could do it as a 13-week study, because that's how we set up the workbook, to be a 13-week study. And then 13 weeks, we could go through it as a group with these Zoom calls, because Zoom calls are so the thing to do right now, right? And we could meet every week and go through the book in workbook style and just keep each other accountable, including myself, because I'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, I need that too, just along with everybody else who's living at home. Life's a struggle, and we have ideas and things that we want to do and things that we have to do, and I wanted to talk about that with other people and hold each other accountable and move forward to creating better days, because that's what it's all about, is progress, making the best days even better, making life at home doable, pleasant, and just creating a beautiful life. That's my goal, is to do that for myself and to encourage other people to do that. So that's my idea. Um, so today I was going to talk about um, the parents, the mother's education, and the mother's work outside of, not maybe outside of, but other than the house and the children. Because we need to feed our own souls too, no matter what that is. Some people are more artistic and creative, and they have hobbies that they like to do. Hobbies, I don't mean hobbies, but it can be a hobby. Sometimes it's a hobby that turns into work. But things that are more creative, it can be a million things. From food art, baking, cupcakes, quilts, crochet, knitting, art, graphic design, on and on and on. A million things I can't even think of right now. Other people's work is more not artistic, the opposite. Some people are more care about the numbers, and maybe they're an accountant. That's the way their brain works, and it feeds them that they enjoy that. They like to do the business numbers and help people with that kind of thing, and it can be freelance work. Other people enjoy health and wellness. That's me. Some people, okay, now here's the thing though. My interests have changed over the years. So I remember a few years where when the kids were doing school, I was so into theology. I mean, that's all. When the kids were doing work, I had theology books spread around me in the Bible, and actually multiple Bibles, because I was comparing versions. But I was really into that for several years, probably about 5 years. I loved that. Before that, and maybe at the same time too, because some things are more seasonal. I was really into gardening, horticulture. I have a huge collection of gardening books and big fat horticulture books that I just really enjoyed. I love that. So that was another thing that I did in my free time. I had to create free time. I had to take pauses during the day. This is my time where I am going to read this book, or I'm going to study. And the rest of the work that's necessary to living at home has limitations. So, I set up my day from this time to this time. We did these activities, that were necessary. And then other time blocks were for homeschooling. And when the kids homeschooled, I homeschooled. That, and then I also used other times of the day when the kids were playing or when they were napping, where I would do certain work. And this all depends on the ages of your kids and what they are capable of. Obviously little children need more guidance, but then also the little children that grow up in families where there's also big children follow along, and they do what the big kids do. It might not be the exact same thing, but they don't require as much entertainment as happens when there's only one adult and there's 2 or 3 or 4 little children, where that feels really overwhelming and you're getting just bogged down and sucked into speaking children language all the time. That changes once they're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they can read, and they are having more adult conversations, and their play changes, and then the little children that come along, they follow along with them, and they're more capable of playing independently and working independently and doing what the older children are doing. So that gives a little bit different freedom than what is experienced when the mom is the only person, the only adult, and the little children are little children. So part of it is just maybe getting through some of those years, or finding ways of arranging your life, planning your life so that you do have adult time, that you do have time to feed your own self, things that give you joy. I mean, little children give me joy. I love little children. But I mean in more of an adult level, so you don't get completely bogged down in speaking children language all the time. And then the other thing that is helpful for, helping mom keep her brain in that adult range and, doing the school or the side hustles is to plan for it, to set goals for yourself and then make them happen. And that happens with a plan. I mean, you can have a goal and then nothing happens because you didn't make a plan to reach your goal. So, yeah, I want to plant a Japanese garden. That was my goal this last winter. I think I even talked about it. I wanted more evergreens. And Japanese gardens are really good about planting evergreens. And so that was like one of my things that I wanted to do, was plant this evergreen garden, more evergreens, and have this Japanese look and stuff in my backyard. Well, then I decided with the whole Corona thing, maybe I'll just grow a bigger vegetable garden. It seemed more prudent. But anyway, I had been planning to buy different kinds of evergreens, and I was even choosing them out, and I had Pinterest boards, ideas of things that I was going to do. I can say, I want to plant a Japanese garden and plant evergreens, but if I don't make the plans to do it, it's not going to happen. You have to plan. That's my big takeaway for you. If you have a goal, if you have things that you want to do, you've got to write out a 5-year, a 10-year, let's go 10 years, 10-year plan. I've been wanting to do the whole nurse midwifery thing for like many years. But there were different things that got in the way. But without a plan, without me saying, this is my end goal, and then writing out, this is my 5-year plan, my 2-year plan, my 1-year plan, all the steps that it takes to get to something have to happen. So you have to figure out those steps. And when did I do a lot of things that got me to my goals was when the kids were at the tables homeschooling. I said this a little bit ago. I was homeschooling myself. I taught them to be independent learners. That was just our homeschooling method. I mean, I know some people, I did try classical for a few years, and while I love the idea of classical education, it didn't fit our lifestyle. I think the girls said the other day, we unschooled. I said, no, we didn't unschool. We farm schooled. So our homeschooling fit with the seasons of the farm. And also because of the farm and the livestock, we had so many learning opportunities just with our lifestyle that counts for education. It was a lifestyle of learning, and we always took those opportunities to learn. So my focus when we were actually sitting at the table with the kids was Bible, math, language arts. For the kids who weren't reading, it was phonics. And then history was more loose. I'd make sure that they had read through history. We have crazy amount of books around here, and I always encourage them, here's your stack of books for the year. Please read through these books, and we'll talk about it. And we did. We talk about books that we're reading all the time. Or videos, same thing. Science, same thing. Textbooks that they would work through. But our primary focus was always Bible first, then math, and then language arts. Because if you can't communicate, if you can't write, if you can't speak, then you can't communicate. If you can't read, you can't communicate. They go together. Once they're reading well, they can just take off and go. And it can do anything. They can learn how to do anything. So that was another big thing. If you want to know how to do something, here's a book. And I would hand them a book. We'd order books. Here's a book. Teaches you how to do it. We go to bookstores. Oh, that was one of the rewards I used. If we would do a certain work, and then we go to town and we would stop at Barnes & Noble, and the people who had earned the reward got to choose out a book. I didn't care what kind of book it was, as long as it wasn't fluff. I hate fluff. refused to buy them fluff. It had to be either classics or a how-to or a history or something scientific. And then here is a book as a reward. And books teach you, and experiences teach you far more than a textbook and worksheets teach you. So that was a lot of how I educated myself, and how I encouraged them to be independent. I did my school along with them. Once I got to harder school, once I was in actual nursing classes, and at that point I had older children that grew up with this system and knew the system, and they could help if I had to leave the house, because I had to leave the house for clinical time. If I had to leave the house, they were able to keep people on task. And that was kind of a God thing, in that it just worked out well. I mean, the timing, the ages of the kids, the personalities of the kids at that time, it worked. There's like any other time in life, it wouldn't have. So I really feel like that was God setting things up ahead of time, and then making things happen, putting things in place. Even things that seem like failures, in retrospect, allowed freedom. I'm not sure if I have time. I don't know how long I've been talking because I don't have anybody helping me. But I have a story. Someday I'll share that, about a failure that turned into a good thing. So yes, I guess that's my big takeaways, is always be working on goals and feeding yourself, feeding your brain, feeding your soul, feeding your spirit, feeding yourself along with the kids. You're not just home educating them, you're home educating yourself. In the times that we had businesses, same thing. I'd be doing our business work while the kids are doing school. We're all sitting at the table, they're doing their schoolwork, I'm doing my work. That's how we did things. If I needed extra quiet, I chose times when they were busy, occupied, taking naps, that kind of thing. So if you have any questions, send me a message. Drop your email in at the website homeplainandsimple.com, and then you get access to the free resource library. There's tons of stuff there. And also you'll get newsletters that have the blog posts just sent straight to your email address. And you can just hit reply on any email that comes from Home Plain and Simple, and it comes to me and I can read it. I mean, that's just the easiest way, is just hit reply to any email that gets sent from the website. All right, thanks for joining me today, and see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock.